Okay.
And I'm a recent convert as well
Okay.
to free flow.
Yes, you are.
It's the most brilliant workable hairspray, especially for something like this, where really, to get the support, sorry, I'll just turn you again, to get the support that I want through the sides, it's just really about building up layers. You know, we can't put backcombing in there really because we want it to be very close to the heads. It's about applying a little bit of spray, drying, applying, drying. And because of the dry texture of free flow, you're able to do that, whereas, you know, other wetter sprays, you're going to get much more of a build-up through there. So I'm just securing this centerpiece. I want a very kind of square feel through the top. So I'm just securing that through the center there to hold that down before we bring the rest in. And again, by having that squareness through the top, it gives me the option to get almost that feeling of those little ears, those little corners there, which again, like Sharon said, is very reminiscent of that whole punk thing back in the very early 80s with Jordan, who, I don't know if you're familiar with her, but her hair was basically shaved off through the center, black, and it was bleached through the sides, and then she just had those sides going up. So it was very much like the shape of the cat that you saw earlier.
Okay, and the colour that I've applied here was kind of 7.4 and 7.0 around the root area with like a 6%. But we wanted to keep all around the perimeter quite flat, so that's just kind of back down to 6.0. And then really kind of smudge the colour because there was already some highlights there. So, you know, sometimes we make it too much hard and too technical for ourselves, make too much of a job of it. So really just kind of visually, again, put the colour on the roots, and as that was starting to take, and I was happy with that, just run some of the colour through, using that to tone down some of the existing blonde. So again, we got kind of this sort of really smudgy look on the hair.
So I'm just gently brushing through the ends now because I want to reduce the volume through the ends, because this is the area here when we want a lot of volume, and then when we bring those ends up to attach them at the back, I don't want a very big shape there. I want it to be very much about the width. So if we could have our first presentation model out, please.
Poor Bryony.
As this is your creation, I think you should talk about this.
Poor Bryony's been called Cat all day for, you know, fairly
but we
obvious
do know her
reason.
real name.
Yeah. Okay, so like Adam said, this was the inspiration for my Hairdressing Awards photo shoot, which we've done the first entry photographs. And again, sort of reminiscent of the early 80s, which we were discussing today, you know, sides that went kind of up and back off the face, kept popping back through that whole decade. But when I drew it, I don't know, most of the guys that have worked with me already know that I do little sketches. So we drew it, and just really liked the idea of these little pieces of hair kind of then folding down. And then that became, it kind of organically evolved and became, you know, a kind of a shape that we worked with. And like Adam said, you know, referencing, thank God for Google, it's so easy to do that kind of stuff now. You'd be amazed what you can see on YouTube, as you know, some of you are probably more familiar than others, and I'm like kind of, okay, metamorph, a girl into demon, man into king cobra, and then there was girl into pig. So go and have a look if you want. But yeah, so that's where cat came from. And you'll see through this year, if you'd see us doing any other work, you know, we can't work, you know, the British Hairdressing Awards are not about avant-garde work, and this, I kind of sneak on the edge of it a little bit, but you know, we're very aware that our work has to be commercial as well. So, but you'll see just little bits of our work all through the year. We'll have this kind of, you know, maybe it just might be a couple of hairs flying with the hair dryer just over one way, which is still kind of a much diluted version. But that's our cat, or Bryony as she was christened.
As she was christened.
Thank you, cat. Cat.
So I'm just starting to fix one side through here now, and basically looking from the front. I've taken the hair into two pieces. It's like I said, taken the volume out of the ends and just held it in a position and then brought it up to see if I'm getting the kind of shape I want to see through there. Once I know that's in the right position, then I can twist those ends so that I can affix them and make them just that little bit smaller. So you've got little bit more of a controlled shape going on through here, and we'll continue that twist up there. So it's, again, got a bit of a snaky feel to it, but without actually making her look like a snake.
Yeah, don't do that.
And
Okay,
then sorry, go on.
The texture that we're getting here, obviously I know what hair's like. Chloe's got kind of fine hair, but there's loads of it, so it's quite heavy. So although we still want the length in this, you can see that I'm working sort of halfway up this length really, and just still working over that 4 or 5 centimetre sort of range that's slide cutting. And what's going to happen then is we're going to be able to work much more freely with this kind of hair. And the guys that we've been out doing sort of some photo shoots in the salons this year as well. So, I mean, if you've not done photographic work, it's completely different. For a start, I don't really finish much of the back on a lot of things, but don't tell anybody. Okay, but see what I'm looking at, and what we always look at on whether I'm demonstrating, in the Ask Academy or whether at our academy in Manchester, we should always try and sort of, as we're finishing, I'll try and explain what I'm seeing, because, I mean, you might think that's rubbish, but, I'll explain why I think it's beautiful. And this is what I'm going to like here is, although she has got a pretty face, I don't need to cover it at all. The hair working round, and I'm going to really enjoy the fact that we've got this roundness here, and it's just going to drop back out. But it's not disconnected at all. But it's just kind of just loosely drops down towards the front.
So I'm just going to turn Eleanor around once more, so I feel like I'm spinning around and around all the time. So, taking that hair, they're taking the volume out of the ends, just bringing it together, give it a little twist, lift it up, check it from the other side to see it's the shape you want. It's a little bit wide, so that means I need to bring this area across a little bit more. By doing that, then I'll get less width. If I want more width, just bring everything over there, twist it either way really, and that's going to give me more width.
Quite a lot of you don't know Adam's background. He was a session hairdresser in New York for quite a long time. So I just think it's great for us. For him, I'm the one that does the kind of the photographic work that's for competitions and for, hairdressing magazines, whereas his background is more, the catwalk, and session is completely different, and it always sounds amazing to people, session hairdresser, and they are amazing people. But I think what's nice is that, and what's nice for us to know that, Adam's come back to the industry, and he gets the enjoyment of doing things like this, which you don't often get to do in your session. It can be just okay, we just want it down and a little bit of a wave, and it's often really quite natural. The editorial looks are not your big shapes and your crazy avant-garde hairdressing stuff. So, I mean, I'm really grateful that you've come back for that.
I'm really thankful that I've come back. I'm able to live a life as well now. I mean, it was an amazing experience, and I worked with some incredible people, amazing models. But as Sharon said, a lot of the time when you're earning money, not just doing magazine work, you're doing a round brush blow dry, maybe ironing it and just spending all day brushing it. That's all you're doing, just brushing it for all the pictures, which is a nice way to earn money. But I did start to miss, the creative side of it really, because there was the odd shoot that you do where you get to really go for it, especially working with a team of friends that and you know that your ideas can really sort of work well together. But I just, you're often fitting an idea. So a stylist will say, oh, this is what the shoot's about. We want you to come up with some hair to go with that. Whereas, I really miss just coming up with some hair.
Yeah, sure.
And then working on a story or an idea of how we're going to present it after that. So here we have the lovely Jenny. So in our funny little story, Jenny is the woman that lives in the manor, very eccentric, very elegant, and she might be the one that's responsible for all these other women turning into creatures.
She might be.
Yeah. So the way we prepared her hair, first of all, the colour, worked with 577 to get that really deep copper red, and then pre-lightened just the ends of the top section. So we backcombed all the hair, and so you push a lot of hair away to the root, and you just get so much left on the ends. That was pre-lightened with blue bleach and 3%, just so that you get a very gentle lift, and obviously you can watch it and see how much it cuts through the colour. And then to prepare it for the shape, we set the hair on perm rods, tiny pinks, yellows, and even little green whites in the nape. Again, prepared the hair, very important to put a lot of caress on. And then we used Animator. If you just use Animator, you're going to find it's really hard to brush out. If you put plenty of caress through the hair, it gives it so much softness that even, you know, the tightest curl and the strongest amount of hairspray on there when you're setting, it will still just brush out thoroughly. Then it's really brushed out, blasted to try and release it, and then just stretched out through the sides a little bit. Works with a little bit of free flow just for control, but really it supports itself with all the curl. Thank you, Jenny.
Gorgeous colour.
Yeah, I love that colour.